In Luke 7, we have this story of Jesus being invited into the home of a Pharisee for dinner. And there's an uninvited guest who comes forward and she weeps. And then she washes and anoints the feet of Jesus. This woman is not given a name in the story. She's simply called a sinful woman. And her actions are considered very undignified and very inappropriate according to the customs and traditions of the time. And when the Pharisee, the host, is upset at her worship of Jesus, Jesus asks him a very profound question. He says, "Do you see this woman?" As Jesus often does when teaching the Pharisees, he points to the lowly and the outcast and tells them, this is your example right here. This is what it means to know God. Her outpouring of worship and her improper etiquette is an opportunity that Jesus uses to correct the teachings of the Talmud. The Talmud is a collection of teachings and opinions of rabbis. And at the time, there were many, many things in the Talmud that she broke. But he also uses this opportunity to remind Simon how he has failed in his duties as a proper host. If you look at verses 44 through 46 through me, Jesus says to Simon, "I came into your house. You didn't give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman from the time that I entered has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, and she has poured perfume on my feet." In every way, this unnamed sinful woman outdid a Pharisee. When this woman breaks the etiquette of the culture, behaving improperly, Simon the Pharisee also behaved inappropriately as well. And to teach him this, Jesus did what he often does. He took those considered lowly in the eyes of the world and gave them the proper place in his world. I'm not saying that Jesus favors the outcast above the others. In fact, the Bible teaches that God does not show favoritism. But it did make me think of this drawing, this image that I came across several years ago. In this image, we have 3 different people, all who are trying to accomplish the same thing: to see a baseball game over a fence. Jesus wants to make sure that everyone gets the same chance to see over the fence. And sometimes that means giving someone who is smaller a few more boxes to stand on. And that's why Jesus says she has been forgiven. This woman knows what Jesus is doing. She knows her past sin is great. And she knows how holy and how good this man is before her, the Son of God. She has seen and experienced who he is, and she cannot help but express love, even though it's undignified. There are 2 responses to Jesus in this story. One is from the host, one with a good and proper reputation as a Pharisee, and the other is from the uninvited guest that has the reputation of being a sinner. The uninvited guest trusted Jesus would forgive her sins, but Simon doesn't have any room for this kind of grace. And that's why Jesus asks this question, "Do you see this woman?" Because Simon did see this woman. He just didn't see her like Jesus saw her. The contrast between Simon and the woman is spectacular. Jesus points out that Simon didn't show him one bit of traditional Jewish hospitality of the day. And yet this woman, she's just thinking, forget what everyone is thinking about me right now. I'm going to do this anyway because I am so overwhelmed by how much I love what this man has shown me. She already knew she was forgiven. The extravagant love in her actions reveals that God has released her, has welcomed her home, and all she is doing is showing her deep love for the one who unleashed that forgiveness in her life. The forgiven person will love the forgiver. That's the point of his parable in this story between the moneylender and the 2 who owe the debt. Simon, he has shown very little of any kind of love, if at all. We can be very inclined to treat people the way Simon treated this woman. It's easy to forget that behind the labels that we tend to put on other people, that behind that label is a human being, a person, a child of God, someone's son, someone's daughter, perhaps someone's father or mother, even a brother or sister. These labels can be reductionist. And when we focus on a single aspect of the person, we're forgetting that a full and complex human exists in them. And there are many ways that we reduce people to this one single thing or a single thing, and we forget their humanity. We see that criminal, or we see that person who belongs to the wrong political party. We look at others and we only see their race or their gender or how they're dressed. We look at who they hang out with and the kinds of things they do in their spare time, and we gossip about them. Behind all these labels and this judgment, we're far too often unwilling to learn this person's story. Many people carry burdens with which we are unaware. And we have to remember this, especially when we're dealing with troubled people in our lives. Many people are troubled for a good reason. And just because we as Christians feel closer to God than a person who doesn't yet know him personally doesn't mean that we're less of a sinner than they are. And it also doesn't mean that they are made less in the image of God than we are. Do you see those around you who need the love of Jesus? And has your heart turned towards them? So much so that you are compelled to share the extravagant grace, the extravagant love of God with them.